Hi, friends. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. I hope you're having a great day today. It is Monday, February 22nd. It's the 22nd day of February. Well, I've got two great books for us to look at today, and both of them are about trees. This first one is called As an Oak Tree Grows. And this one is about cherries. See the tree right up here? So this will be a fun thing to look at. Let's read these. As an oak tree grows. On a sunny late summer day, a young boy planted an acorn in the ground. Later that year, an oak tree sprouted up from the earth into the air and light. Each fall, it would shed its leaves, and each spring, new ones would grow. The boy no longer lived here. New people came and made their homes around the oak tree. They cleared their hillsides where forest once stood. The wood was used for building and to burn in fireplaces, but the oak tree was left standing. There's the oak tree right there. The oak tree had room to spread wide and grew upward and outward. See how it's getting bigger? Sometimes snow was very heavy and a branch would break off. See how there's snow everywhere? We just went through snow. Huh. Yeah, let's find out what happens. As the oak tree grew, everyone and everything was on the move. Children grew, some stayed to work on the farms, and others left to work in factories. Ships came and went, and large engines rumbled along steel rails. Birds perched in the oak tree to rest from long migrations. Some stayed and made new homes, and others flew on. More people arrived and built new houses and buildings. Wow, see how it's becoming populated. Some years little rain fell. Hills and fields were dry where trees had once stood and shaded the ground from the sun's rays. The oak tree's roots reached far underground for water as its leaves wilted. Farmers conserved what little they had for thirsty livestock until the rain fell again. Great pictures. Electricity came through wires that were strung over hills and through valleys. It powered street lamps and homes. The land twinkled with lights as stars faded in the night sky. Yeah, that's the tree at night. The oak tree grew slowly and steadily, while all around it life sped up. People rode in cars to go to work and visit friends, or to go shopping, or just for a drive. Soon the air was filled with jet contrails and radio waves and sound waves of beeping cars and barking dogs and zooming motorboats and whistling trains and music. The oak tree is 200 years old now. It has shed its leaves and grown new ones every year. Animals, birds, and insects have made homes in its folds and holes and branches. See how big it is now? The oak tree, with its strong roots, trunks, and limbs, has survived many storms over its lifetime. Now a fog rolls in and a big storm is on the way. The storm is powerful and the oak tree is split in two. It does not survive the storm. Oh no, let's find out what happens. People come to look where the great oak tree once stood. The tree is cut into pieces to be used for furniture and firewood and mulch. See the tree stump right there? Yeah. A new day dawns. Once again, the ground is warm and welcoming as a new oak tree grows. So there's where the old oak tree was, and there's a new baby oak tree just starting to grow. What a fun book. That was called As an Oak Tree Grows. I've got one other book to look at with you all today. This is called Waiting for Cherries, and I love cherries. Let's look at this. Gray Squirrel was hungry. Her nose twitched, her front paws scratched, her furry tail snapped as she ran. Gray Squirrel found something round, red, and shiny. She looked at it closely. She tasted it. She ate it. So there's Gray Squirrel right there, and you can see she's eating a cherry. Gray Squirrel searched the ground. She looked in the bushes and she looked up. There was a tree full of things, round, red, and shiny. Gray Squirrel climbed to the top branches. All around she could see them hanging, round, red, and shiny. Cherries, said two sparrows flying through the branches. Cherries, said Gray Squirrel. She picked one up and ate it. Gray Squirrel ate cherries until she could eat no more. Then she curled up in the hollow of the tree and slept. Ooh, do you see all the cherries on the tree there? The little red dots. The next day, two men came with ladders and baskets. They put the ladders against the tree and began to pick the cherries. Gray Squirrel became angry. She twitched her whiskers and she chattered her teeth. She leaped from branch to branch. "Stop," she called out. "Stop taking my cherries." But the men did not understand her. Gray Squirrel pulled off a cherry and threw it at the men. She picked another cherry and another and threw it at the men. "Hey," said one man, "there's a squirrel in this old cherry tree. Throw down some more, squirrel. Get the high ones." The men laughed. It was evening when they folded the ladders. They took their baskets and went away. So there they are picking the cherries, and there's Gray Squirrel right there, and she's not happy. Gray Squirrel looked at the tree. There was not a cherry left. "I wish the cherries would come back," she sighed. Gray Squirrel curled up in the hollow of the tree and slept. The next day, Gray Squirrel climbed all the branches and she looked under all the leaves to see if there was one cherry left. There were no cherries, but Gray Squirrel found other things. There were tiny caterpillars chewing the leaves. There were birds pecking the bark of the tree. Day after day, Gray Squirrel searched. She climbed the great limbs and she looked among the smaller branches, then out amongst the leaves. At the tips of some branches, Gray Squirrel found dead twigs. She bit them off and let them fall to the ground. She pulled off leaves that were chewed or dried. Gray Squirrel began to care for the tree. Yeah, she's beginning to care for the trees. Let's find out what happens. Summer ended and autumn came, and the leaves changed from green to yellow and yellow to red and red to brown. "How pretty this tree is," Gray Squirrel thought. "I wish the cherries would come now." But they did not come. The leaves dried up and began to curl, and rain beat down on the leaves, and winds pulled them from the tree. Soon the branches were bare. Dark clouds filled the sky, and the winds blew harder. The rain became sleet, and Gray Squirrel made a nest in the hollow of the tree and waited. Yeah, winter's coming, huh? One morning, Gray Squirrel woke to hear the branches creaking. They were covered with ice and some were bent so low that they almost touched the ground. Gray Squirrel cracked the ice with her teeth and shook it from the branches. The branches sprang back, and Gray Squirrel went back to her nest and waited. One cold night, Gray Squirrel again heard the branches creaking. She woke to find the tree bent and covered with snow. Gray Squirrel went to every limb and shook heavy snow from the branches. The branches sprang back. Gray Squirrel took care of the trees each day. At night, the tree kept her safe from the cold. So right there, you see her sleeping inside a hollow in the tree. Then came the blizzard. The wind whistled and the snow swirled and the old tree creaked and groaned. Snow clung to the branches and clung to the trunk and clung to Gray Squirrel as she raced over the limbs. Gray Squirrel worked very hard. She worked until she could do no more. Then she curled her tail around herself and burrowed deep into her nest. When Gray Squirrel awoke, it was spring. There were green buds on all the branches, opening into tiny leaves, and soon pink buds appeared and opened into flowers. Ooh, look at the tree now. Beautiful. Gray Squirrel climbed the branches and looked into every flower. I wish all the flowers would open into cherries. She went back to her nest and waited. Then the caterpillars returned to the tree, and then the birds came. The petals fell from the tree, and spring became summer. Gray Squirrel noticed that there were small green berries where the flowers had been. Slowly, they began to grow from green berries into white ones, bigger and whiter and pinker in the warm rain and bright sun. One fine morning, when Gray Squirrel woke, all the branches were full of cherries, round, red, and shiny. Gray Squirrel looked at them. She picked a cherry and ate it. Mmm, that was great. That was called Waiting for Cherries. Well, I hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye, friends.